Okay, so this is section 5.2. I want to solve an equation. Here's my equation right here. X cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6 equal to 0. Given that negative 1 is a 0, what does it mean for negative 1 to be a 0? That means x is equal to negative 1. But if I solve this for 0, I reverse engineer it, guys. I add 1 to both sides because I'm trying to get something equal to 0. That's what it means to be a 0, right? Okay, it's a solution to this equation. So what does that tell me? That tells me if I plug in a negative 1 here, I'm going to get 0 equal to 0, which is a 0. So if I do division, right? If I do division, then that's going to pop out a quadratic factor that I can then use a quadratic equation and get a solution on. So how do I do division here? So I've got x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6 divided by x plus 1, right? So I want to remind you how to do synthetic division. To do synthetic, I take what I'm dividing by and set it equal to 0, solve for x, I get negative 1, that's my 0. So I'm going to take the negative 1 and I'm going to put it in a box. I'm going to draw a line, and now I'm going to record the coefficients. The first coefficient I see here is a 1, so I'm going to put a 1 here. The next coefficient I see is a negative 4. The next coefficient I see is another 1, and then the last one is a 6. So look, what you do first, you take this 1, you bring it down here below the line, okay? Whatever's below the line gets multiplied by what's in the box. So I'm going to multiply 1 times negative 1. So when I multiply 1 by negative 1, what do I get? I get negative 1, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what's above the line and add it together. So I'm going to add negative 4 and negative 1, and I get negative 5. Then what do? I take what's below the line, right? Below the line, and multiply by what's in the box. So negative 5 and negative 1 make a positive 5, and I write it there, okay? That negative 5 times the negative 1 gets me the 5. And then I add 1 and 5 together. When I add 1 and 5, I get 6. And then multiply what's below the line times what's in the box, okay? Gives me negative 6. And when I finally add this, I get 0. This last number is your remainder. It's good that our remainder is 0. That's what we were saying. It was a 0, right? So we did it right. This next one is your constant. The next one's your x, and the next one's your x squared. So how do I write this solution out? It's 1x squared minus 5x plus positive 6. Okay, and then there's no remainder. So what does this tell me? This answer right here is equal to that. So that means that x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6 equals x plus 1 times x squared minus 5x plus 6. Okay? This is good because now I think we can factor this with the trinomial t-chart. What multiplies to 6 and adds to negative 5? Well, if I do 6 times 1, that's 7. That's not going to work. Minus 2 times minus 3. Minus 2 minus 3, that's negative 5. Bingo. Since there's a 1 in front, this is an easy one to factor. It's just x minus 2 and x minus 3 coming from these numbers right here that we found. And then I also had that x plus 1 that I started with. So what did I do? This equation, originally we had it what? Set equal to 0, right? So we have it set equal to 0, and we're trying to solve. So now how do we solve? I set each piece equal to 0, and I solve for x. So a minus 1, I get x equals negative 1. add 2, I get x equals 2, plus 3, and x equals 3. So my solutions are -1. So the solution set is -1, 2, and 3. And that's it. Okay, no big deal. All right.